The action in Love and Bullets. Wednesday at 7, Bronson jumps into action in Love and Bullets. He's the most dangerous man you'll ever meet.
What's going on?
We were about to get shot up by those people.
Who was gonna shoot us up?
I was hoping you could tell me that.
Charles Bronson, Jill Ireland, and Rod Steiger star in Love and Bullets, Wednesday at 7 on Channel 9. Join us tomorrow night at 7 when Charles Bronson stars as a secret agent who kidnaps the mistress of an underworld crime figure. Jill Ireland and Rod Steiger co-star in Love and Bullets, here on Receptive Channel 9.
Triplets. Nothing earth-shattering about that. And their proud grandmother. Nothing so unusual about that either. But this grandmother gave birth to her own daughter's babies. And this week's People has the exclusive story on this warm, touching, amazing family. Then, Valerie Harper talks about getting fired from her TV show. The Boss Cuts Loose. The Quiet Beetle cuts a new album, and so much more. You'll love this grandmother's gift of life and love. People. That's what we're all about.
Being cool, you'll find, is a state of mind. A refreshing attitude. Things get hot. Cool is all you got. Doing it country cool. Doing it country cool. Doing it country cool.
Introducing the great taste of new Diet Mountain Dew. It's the delicious country cool taste of Mountain Dew with 100% NutraSweet.
This is going to feel real good. The Home Spa Personal Whirlpool. A powerful head-to-toe water massage that eases tension, soothes sore muscles, and makes you feel real good. Turn your bathtub into a hot tub at a fraction of a hot tub's price. The Home Spa Whirlpool. Everything about it feels real good.
Could be the last. Reardon has it. The Minnesota Twins are in the World Series.
It's a scene you could watch over and over again. A victory for Twins fans to savor. And local merchants to cash in on. From tickets to T-shirts to thousands of tourists. The World Series storm is already sweeping across Minnesota.
From the Twin Cities, this is the Upper Midwest first look at tonight's news. This is Primetime News.
Well, hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Heather Harden.
And I'm Rod Graham. Topping our news tonight, a pair of tickets for the World Series are worth their weight in gold tonight. And by now, it's nearly impossible to get them.
And as Susan Austin reports, most fans who waited all night outside Dayton stores went home empty-handed.
I'll be up all night. I'll be up all night.
This Twins fan and thousands of others camped out through the night at Dayton stores for a slim chance to get tickets to the World Series. 15,000 tickets were up for sale for games 1 and 2, and by morning, the line downtown was wrapped around the Dayton's building 2 whole blocks.
Right here.
They amused themselves during the long wait, but by noon, only 600 tickets were left. All were singletons or with obstructed views.
Row 8. Thank you very much.
As it turned out, there just weren't enough tickets for all the fans who wanted them. Many waited and waited for nothing and criticized the way tickets were sold. If you're lucky, you can still try to win them. Nearly every Twin Cities radio station is sponsoring an on-air contest giveaway.
Matchup on November 18. You're into the World Series with the Twins, and who cares, you know? Give us a call right now. I'm going to clear those phone lines. Let's clear them all right now.
But face it, by now you've either got to know somebody or take your chances with scalpers. Last week during the playoffs, 30 people were arrested for scalping. Minneapolis police say this time around will be no different.
And when you hold up 4, 5, 6 tickets for sale, someone will approach you and ask you a simple question: how much? If you tell them more than the face value, they confiscate your tickets and arrest you.
By doing their job, police will no doubt diminish the number of tickets available through scalpers. But if you do find some, expect to pay 3 to 4 times the price of the original ticket. Susan Austin, Channel 9 News.
Well, the big series means big dollars for area businesses. Everything from hotels and restaurants to clothing and gift shops will be full of thousands of out-of-town visitors.
And Kevin Burns joins us now with details of the big bucks in store now for the Twin Cities.
That's right. Well, Rod and Heather, this is a story about cash flow, a very positive cash flow. Minneapolis, will see an influx of millions of dollars during the 2 games at the Dome this weekend. And even if businesses don't want to share the wealth, some may be forced to. It's a sound Minneapolis businesses are getting used to, courtesy of the Twins.
There are rooms out on the 494 strip.
This is a sound visitors will be getting used to, again, thanks to the local ball club. Downtown is quickly being booked up on a weekend when both the Twins and the Gophers will be at the Dome.
I would say in terms of food and beverage, probably about 50% more on top of the other stuff, because there was a busy weekend already, so it's going to be very pressing. We're talking about $15,000 to $20,000 a day for us. You know, that's very significant for a small hotel.
Minneapolis as a whole is looking at some major league dollar amounts. Ticket sales alone will generate $1.5 million per game. Food and lodging will add another $4.4 million. A full 7-game series could pump $25 million into the local economy.
Our business is probably going to be up about 15–20%. And so, in fact, we plan on staying open later now with the game. We're probably going to be open until about 11 o'clock or even 11:30. Whenever the crowd dies down after the game, that's when we'll close. But as long as the people keep coming in, we're going to stay open.
Don't think St. Paul is going to be left out of the economic ball game. But then again, officials there say they won't need to put on a hard sell.
We're so centrally located, St. Paul is, and we're close to the Metrodome. The area I represent is right midway between the 2 downtowns, so the hotels and the eating establishments there are looking real good. So everybody's got Twins fever.
And that fever is an illness that Twin Cities businesses hope will be around for quite some time. Joining me now to elaborate on what the World Series will bring to the area is Paul Erickson, Executive Director of the Minnesota Amateur Sports Commission. Paul, thanks for joining us tonight. We've heard about the direct economic impact. What about the indirect, the intangibles?
Well, of this $25 million of direct expenditures, there's the rippling effect when the restaurants reorder, when the hotels reorder, when the souvenir shops have to replenish. And so we think there's almost a 2 multiplier effect. So you can almost count that that $25 million of direct ends up almost $50 million for the total economic impact.
Of that, how much is going to be coming from outside of Minnesota?
Well, the Department of Trade and Economic Development had a lot of fun. We contacted Fenway Park in Boston from the last series and the Commissioner of Baseball, and they estimate that about 22 to 28 million of that total $50 million economic impact comes as new net economic benefit to Minnesota. And that, from the state perspective, that's exciting, because that's what we're most interested in, is that new dollars that come in.
One thing we haven't touched on is the national media exposure, the television shots of the skyline of the Twin Cities going into and out of the commercial breaks. Is that worth measurable?
Well, it's certainly measurable, but it's hard to really define. As you know, advertisers must pay up to $300,000, $400,000 for a half-a-minute spot. So we know that to be in the national limelight, to be on national television, both for the American League pennant and the World Series, has a multi-million-dollar economic value, but it's very hard to define the practical benefit of that, but we certainly know it's valuable.
Paul Erickson, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Rod and Heather, we'll go back to you.
Thank you, Kevin. As we know, it's food and baseball, but baseball wouldn't be baseball without souvenirs.
And there's a Minnesota company which makes a lot of them for the whole country. As Jeff Ballion reports tonight, they're hard at work trying to meet the demand for Twins souvenirs.
Minnesota has gone crazy for the Twins, and just about anything with the team's logo on it is a hot seller.
The Twins market is very emotional this year, and people are excited about identifying with the Twins organization. They're getting a lot of favorable publicity across the country, and so people like to identify with the winner.
The magic of the Twins means money for Windcraft Incorporated of Winona, a company in the business of making memories. This place is a candy store for Twins fans. Whether you want an official pennant, a mug, a button, a keychain, a bumper sticker, they're all made right here in Winona. Minutes after the Twins clinched the American League pennant, Windcraft was already turning out souvenirs, and the plant has been going non-stop ever since. As the official supplier of Major League Baseball souvenirs, Windcraft has a lot of orders to fill from retailers around the country.
This is going to be one of the best championship series in baseball that we've had.
Since Windcraft makes this stuff for all the big sporting events, it's usually no big deal for the workers. But with the Twins in the World Series, it's special this time.
You feel a little more enthusiasm because your home team is in there and you're just plugging away for them too.
I feel like I'm right there with those fans. I mean, we're making the stuff, they're buying it, and it makes the work very enjoying.
What would be even more enjoyable is if the Twins win it all. And yes, the company has already designed souvenirs for that. With Larry Falk, Jeff Ballion, Channel 9 News in Winona.
Windcraft is standing by to make souvenirs for the National League champs, but no one is just sure yet who that's going to be.
And what could be the deciding game is going on right now, and Perry Williams is here to tell us the latest and on the score. Perry?
First is San Francisco playing at St. Louis. The Giants lead that series 3-2, and a victory by San Francisco tonight would indeed put them into the World Series to face the Twins in Game 1 here at the Metrodome on Saturday night. Let's take a look at the scores. 1-0 St. Louis in the 5th inning, top of the 5th, so the Cardinals hoping to even the series tonight under the guidance of John Tudor, the left-hander going tonight against Dave Gervecki for San Francisco. We'll have an update on that score later in sports.
All right. Thank you very much, Perry.
Okay, thank you. War and peace and domestic unrest are again making headlines tonight.
And Rod, we want to mention that at the end of the newscast tonight, we have a special wrap-up look at the series against Detroit. So those of you who have VCRs may want to get them ready. Meanwhile, when Primetime News continues, a Central American leader is honored for his peacemaking efforts. Meanwhile, another tragic result of war in the Persian Gulf, and dozens of gays are arrested following a march on the Supreme Court. We'll be right back.
Winter allergies and colds. The sneezing and congestion can make you feel miserable. For relief, discover Benadryl Decongestant, combining Benadryl with the decongestant found in the leading cold medication, Benadryl Decongestant.
The Greenland Eskimos. Studies link their low incidence of heart disease to a fish diet rich in omega-3. Only Promega, cholesterol-free Promega, has the highest percentage concentration of natural omega-3. All natural, more omega-3, cholesterol-free.
It's been a long day, big boy. Feel like you still got something left? Sure you do. 'Cause you got one smart mama, and she got you off the ground this morning with a real winner. Howdy ho, wheat, time to float. 'Cause you don't wear no sugar coat. You just can't beat that pure whole wheat. Now go tell your mama what the big boys eat.
Get ready for winter and save during Menards Oktoberfest sale. Manville insulation is on sale now, plus mail-in rebates save you even more. $1 per roll. And save on wand, storm, and screen doors with a solid wood core. Covered by seamless maintenance-free vinyl. The Cape Cod with magnetic weather stripping and 15-year warranty is now just $159. Hurry in to save this week at Menards.
Our Oktoberfest sale will save you more at Menards.
It's fall closeout time at Cherokee Power Equipment on their full line of Lawn Boy mowers. Stop in and see over 17 different Lawn Boy mowers, all priced to sell. Use their 30, 60, 90-day, no-interest or easy monthly payment plan. They guarantee you won't be disappointed. Best price, best service, best selection at Cherokee Power Equipment. The Lawn Boy sale is on now. Cherokee Power Equipment, 63rd and Boone Avenue North, Brooklyn Park.
Well, the winner of this year's Nobel Peace Prize says he accepts the award on behalf of the 25 million people of Central America who he says deserve to live in peace.
President Oscar Arias of Costa Rica won the honor for promoting a plan to end guerrilla wars in Central America. The panel says he's made an outstanding contribution to the possible return of stability and peace to the region, which is split by civil wars in Nicaragua and El Salvador. For RES, news of the award came as a complete surprise.
Costa Ricans have a dream. It is that our Central American brothers can someday enjoy the peace we have. That's why I interpret this award not as a distinction to Oscar Arias, but to all the Costa Rican people.
Though President Reagan has criticized the RES peace plan, he today offered his congratulations to the Nobel winner. Well, there is no peace in the Persian Gulf, and the children are the latest victims of the 7-year-old Iran-Iraq war. Iraqi news reports say at least 32 people, most of them children, were killed when an Iranian missile exploded in a Baghdad schoolyard. More than 200 others were wounded. The school was littered with books and bodies following the attack. Iran says it was not aiming at the building. The missile was intended for a military target.
The latest convoy of reflagged Kuwaiti oil tankers has arrived safely in Kuwait. The Pentagon says the ships ran into no trouble as they were escorted through the Persian Gulf, again by the U.S. Navy. A Haitian presidential candidate was shot dead today by police in Port-au-Prince. Witnesses say that Yves Voel was gunned down by plainclothes officers as he gave a speech in front of the police headquarters. That speech demanded the release of a prisoner. Voel is the second candidate for president to be killed this year. Another was hacked to death in August by peasants who had accused him of being a communist.
President Reagan will not let the Bork nomination go down without a fight. The White House has asked for network airtime tomorrow afternoon for a nationally broadcast sales pitch. In New Jersey today, the president said the confirmation hearings were marred by distortions and innuendos. He was going to say smears and lies, but apparently toned down the speech to reflect Bork's desire for a less harsh debate. But the president got in a few jabs anyway.
To appoint another one, I'll try to find one that they'll object to just as much as they did to this.
54 senators are now on record against Bork, more than enough to defeat the nomination.
Yes. Oh, would you like this? Oh, isn't that nice? That's wonderful. Oh.
So you think you've heard everything? How about Bush and Stevenson?
Are they getting professional help?
BS in the morning on WDGY.
Imagine golden grams and you and me. That crispy graham and honey taste was meant to be a part of your complete breakfast, and naturally so happy together. Ooh, that golden honey and graham cracker taste of Golden Grahams.
Have some more fun. Make s'mores with Golden Grahams chocolate chips and marshmallows. Make plenty, because everybody always wants some more. Look for this easy recipe on specially marked boxes.
Over 17 million people now use a new kind of credit card.
The Discover Card.
A credit card that charges no annual fee. In fact, this credit card pays you money. A yearly cashback bonus every time you use it.
Pays you back.
Why pay for a credit card when this one pays you?
The Discover Card.
For people who expect value, use it at places like these.
For 23 years, customers have depended on Cedric's to make them look good with suits that last for years. During Cedric's anniversary sale, select from the Christian Dior collection with $50 off any suit. Cedric's, Ridgedale and Galleria.
Embers is cooking up something new and exciting. Let's take a peek. Hot and spicy Cajun dishes. Tender, flavorful grilled cod. 14 exciting new taste treats. The finest ingredients prepared to your complete satisfaction. If you haven't been to Embers recently, we've got a surprise for you. Come see what's cooking at Embers.
Tonight in business, if you're doing anything related to the business of the Twins this week, you are very busy. Take the case of the National Screen Print Company in Bloomington. They are licensed to print World Series T-shirts for the American League and are working the presses 24 hours a day to meet what they expect to be extraordinary demand. Last night, they took only 1,500 shirts to the rally at the Metrodome, and they were sold out immediately, of course. The shirts will be sold at the Dome and at local retailers. In other news, the Minnesota Commerce Department has closed a Twin Cities insurance agency for alleged financial improprieties. The Star Tribune says Mid-Continent Agencies Incorporated of Eden Prairie is being penalized for reportedly failing to turn over to insurance companies more than $3 million it received in customers' premiums. Honeywell Incorporated said today that income from continuing operations of 1987 was $69 million compared with $30 million a year ago. Honeywell says its earnings reflect the results of restructuring and cost reductions. Control Data is buying Time Incorporated's market research unit, which is called SAMI Burke. CDC says the acquisition is part of its rebuilding. The service will be linked to CDC's Arbitron Broadcasting Ratings Company and will give information about American consuming and purchasing habits. On Wall Street today, CBS, Cap Cities ABC, and Philip Morris were up. Down were Compaq, Westinghouse, and Santa Fe Southern. On the regional board, Green Tree, Conagra, and Bemis were up. Apache, FBS, and Valspar were down. Analysts explained the market had fallen far enough in recent sessions that it began to attract buyers who'd been waiting for a pullback. So the Dow Jones closed up today nearly 37 points at 2508. Fairly heavy trading today, 173 million shares. Gourmet food has gone to the dogs. A Minneapolis woman has created biscuits for Bowser that have become the latest in canine cuisine. Oh, and she hasn't forgotten our feline friends. Sales of her animal yummies have become the cat's meow.
To say that Linda Coffey loves her dogs would be an understatement. She has devoted her career to their cuisine and created a company using her name that markets gourmet products nationwide for dogs and cats.
Can you speak? Speak.
And it all happened by accident one day when she read that dogs love garlic and Romano cheese. She decided to add whole wheat flour and whomp up a batch of biscuits for her buddy.
When the first batch was baking in the oven, Hamill was standing in front of the oven door, salivating. And when they came out, he was crazy about them. Ate the entire batch in one afternoon.
When her friends and their doggies raved, she decided to go into business, baking in her kitchen and ordering special bags.
When it really hit me initially was when they dropped the 25,000 bags in my driveway, because they come in big boxes that are really too heavy to lift. And there were 25 huge boxes there.
Undaunted, she headed with bags in hand to a local shopping mall.
My dog and I would go for 20 days before Christmas, and we sold them there.
But obviously she couldn't do it all herself, and this was no way to crack a national market, so she started going to trade shows, and now does 25 a year.
It's not always just that easy either, in that it's very, very expensive. A trade show space can cost anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000.
But her persistence has paid off. Her business has doubled every year since she started 5 years ago, and she is now selling her products in such prestigious stores as Bloomingdale's and Neiman Marcus. Baking is now done at a bakery in Wisconsin. Packaging is done in the Twin Cities. Every week, 5,000 to 10,000 pounds of Coffey's cat and dog biscuits are packaged and shipped from this workshop in St. Paul, which employs 130 adults with mental handicaps. Linda's goal, she says, is to expand at a more reasonable rate. Her 1987 year will show nearly $1 million in sales.
A lot of dogs and cats seem to like these treats, even though they are $6 for a 10-ounce bag.
You hate to spoil the dog, though, don't you?
I think most people love to spoil their dogs and cats,
maybe.
Rod.
$6 a bag? That's all right.
Still ahead tonight, more tears, cheers, and other sounds of glory with our American League champs.
But first tonight, we'll hear from Joe Dandry about the local weather outlook. Stay with us.
Heat your home with Bryant's efficient formula gas furnace and get 1 month of free gas. Or heat your home with the ultra-efficient Plus 90 furnace and get 2 months of free gas. Formula and Plus 90 from Bryant. Up to 97% efficient and fired up with free gas.
In New Brighton and surrounding suburbs, call All Season Comfort. The Boss multi-position plow is putting snow in its place and winning friends all across the north.
Operators particularly like Rapid Attach, the truck-to-plow connection that allows you to attach the boss with incredible ease. There's no crawling under this plow. The connections are right there. And in just moments, you're ready to go. Save time, save money, and get the job done right. Let the boss work for you.
They'll cut me right off at the bottom line. Maybe I better not show it to them.
No doubt in my mind. It's a case we can win.
There's one airline that knows its business so well, it actually lets you keep your mind on yours.
It's a three-part strategy.
United, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve.
Our guys fly in tonight. Theirs tomorrow. We all fly on Thursday.
Come fly the friendly skies.
They got this covered or what?
Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. No matter what you drive, or how you drive, or where you drive, or what conditions you drive under. With Mobil synthetic oil technology, there's no finer engine protection anywhere. Mobil 1, on the leading edge of mobile motor oils.
Honestly, I was trying to get ready for the fall, and today was so warm.
Just a little treat for the middle part of October, just like the Twins.
About a week of these?
I don't think so. Probably not.
Oh, darn it.
Looks like temperatures will stay on the mild side, though. I don't know if you've realized it's been almost a month since we've had a decent rain here in the
It has been dry, yes, indeed.
It's been good for the farmers to get the crops in. They've been getting them in at nearly a record pace. But the soil now needs a little bit of recharging now that most of the crops are in. This is the time of year we start looking for fall rains to sink into the soil and be ready and available for the crops next year. The reason we haven't seen much rain over the past several weeks is because of this upper-level wind flow, which has been basically out of the northwest. Weather systems and air masses have been coming down out of central Canada where it's dry, and there just simply isn't that much moisture available to come down over us, and that's why it's been on the dry side. However, we do see some signs that it is going to be changing. The upper winds by Friday should start blowing out of a southwesterly direction, and as that happens, we're able to tap the Gulf of Mexico. So don't be surprised if we don't see some more significant rain moving in here over the next several days. It's going to be a possibility, and also with this kind of a flow, temperatures will stay a little bit more moderate. Certainly was moderate today here in the Twin Cities with our high of 75 degrees. That's well above the average of 61. 36 was the low this morning, closer to our average for this time of the year. Sunrise is 7:27 tomorrow and sets at 6:31, and no rain in the official bucket. Some sprinkles did move through southern Minnesota. The pollen count today is average for this time of the year. Still some ragweed out there. Currently, we're looking at a cloudy sky. Balmy 67 degrees. The dew point is 32, so very dry out there. Our relative humidity only 27%. West winds are at 10. The pressure is rising. Right now, around the 5-state region, we are looking at some very mild temperatures for the middle part of October with 67 degrees here in the Twin Cities, and at Sioux City, Iowa, the hot spots, 50s and 60s quite common. A little bit cooler as you move out to the west. Minot, North Dakota's got 49 and 41 out at Dickinson, North Dakota. So there is some cooler air that will begin to move in. You may have noticed those high clouds thickening over the state this afternoon. There they are, still over us and over much of Wisconsin. It looks like we'll be underneath them during the night tonight. There's also a cold front approaching from the northwest, but this isn't like the last few cold fronts we've had come through. It's not an Arctic front, it's a Pacific front, so fairly mild air moving in behind it. Temperatures should drop off, though, about 10 to 15 degrees. And this cloud layer is thin enough, the air is dry enough. I think we will see some sunshine during the day tomorrow, even though we will have some of this cloudiness around. As we zoom out, though, you can see quite a bit of moisture all the way down to the southwest. This little comma cloud is indicative of a storm center in the northwest part of Arizona. That'll be moving up toward us and bring us a shot at some rain in here. Looks like by tomorrow night or on Thursday. High temperatures today very mild here in the Central Plains with 60s and 70s. Still cool across the northeast. Record lows from Michigan to Louisiana this morning. And underneath the clouds, fairly cool across the northern Rockies, but not cold enough for snow. Tomorrow, we do expect to see a high-pressure ridge stretching from the northwest part of Canada right over Minnesota. Still some strong winds and cold air up in the northeast part of Canada, and a broad area of low pressure developing out to the west. What that'll mean? More clouds. It looks like we'll see most of the clouds in southern Minnesota. As I said, we hope to see some sun poking through from time to time. Showers developing to our southwest could start creeping toward us by tomorrow night or by Thursday. 68 at Chicago tomorrow, 81 at Dallas. Our forecast for the Twin Cities for tonight, calling for mostly cloudy skies, not as cold. Lows in the mid-40s. We'll have a west to northwest wind at about 5 to 15 miles an hour. For tomorrow, partly sunny skies, a little cooler. Highs looks like in the low 60s right now with a gentle wind out of the north to northwest. Looks like a nice day is shaping up tomorrow. Tomorrow night, cloudy and mild. There's a slight chance of showers moving in, 40 to 45. And for Thursday, mostly cloudy. We'll throw in a chance of showers about 30%, with highs in the middle 50s. So temperatures moderating a little bit and a chance of rain beginning to creep back into the forecast.
But it sounds good. Thank you.
When we come back, a troubled iron range industry is sailing calmer waters.
Steve Goodspeed will tell us how the chopsticks in Hibbing may bring two rivals together. We'll be back in a moment.
Now that Blue Cross and Blue Shield has 3 gold health care plans,
it won't be long before the whole state turns to gold.
Turn to gold
With Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota.
Space desperados, kung fu robots, galaxy gals in love. A spaced-out comedy from the far-out future. If they don't want to save the universe, they just want to have fun. Mary Crosby, Angelica Houston, Robert Urich. Blast off with The Ice Pirates.
Thursday at 7 on Receptive Channel 9.
Until now, plowing through what the snowplow left behind was one of winter's toughest challenges. Now, Toro introduces the exclusive PowerShift snow thrower. The PowerShift automatically puts more weight on the front for a more powerful bite on winter's toughest snow. The new Toro PowerShift. The only challenge left? Getting out of the driveway to go buy one.
Save up to $100 on Toro 2-stage snow throwers at Bloomquist Hardware, Rapid Rental, and Nelson Pease.
A picture like this only happens once. That's why you insisted on Kodak VRG film from Walgreens for sharpness, brilliant color, and amazing detail. And why you took it back to Walgreens for film developing using the Kodak Color Watch system with Kodak paper, chemicals, and Kodak computer monitoring. Plus, get a free photo album with any 4x6 show print order. If you don't get a picture like this the first time, there won't be a second. Kodak VRG film and the Kodak Color Watch system at Walgreens.
Another beautiful Monday.
Coast, the scent opens your eyes. Coast to lather, and you realize that coast is the way to make you feel alive. Coast, feel alive.
Sure beats snow.
Feel alive with Coast.
2,400 cases of whittled lumber united the Iron Range and Japan today.
It was the first major shipment of chopsticks by a one-year-old Hibbing company. Steve Goodspeed has more on this very unusual partnership.
Now we're in production. Now we're beginning to ship. Very quiet, I told you so, would be in order.
Ian Ward was not worried today about lingering skeptics. Chopsticks made on the Iron Range were on their way to Japanese restaurants, schools, and hospitals.
The old saying is an economic development. You've got to gamble. It's a gamble on any project. You either make or you don't.
Today's shipment comes only after working out bugs. Getting the plan going was as challenging as learning to use the product. The Japanese did not care for early samples. They had blemishes and were not cut the way the Japanese like. But within a few months, officials hope the plant will be operating at capacity. 7 million pairs a day, going to a nation that throws away 130 million pairs a day.
Japanese have always been a very fastidious race, and when they're eating in public, they don't like to use a chopstick that has been used by somebody else. So they use what they call a warabashi, which is a disposable stick.
With the mining pits nearby, the Hibbing chopsticks begin their very unlikely journey. By truck to Grand Rapids, by rail to Seattle, and from there, by water to Japan. For a mining community accustomed to cursing Japan for cheap steel, it's ironic that ample supplies of cheap aspen and modern technology have suddenly opened the Japanese market and provided 45 jobs.
I think if you wanted to work for minimum wage, there are quite a few jobs out there. But who can feed a family and plus pay rent and such on that kind of income?
Marcia was laid off by the mine, so was Jeff Leone. With this job, he hopes to stay home on the range.
Well, I built a house here 7 years ago, and my kids go to school around here, and I don't know, this is home for me. That's all I could say.
With photographer Rod Worminger, Steve Goodspeed, Channel 9 News in Hibbing.
The board of directors of St. Paul's Chimera Theater have voted to close the facility. Last night's decision comes amid serious cash flow problems, including a loss of $85,000 in United Arts funding and $46,000 from the State Arts Board. The current production of the musical George M. will run through the weekend and then close. Officials of the 18-year-old theater have begun laying off employees, but say the youth education program will continue as an independent operation.
An attorney for a controversial shelter for the homeless in St. Paul's East Side says it will be closing its doors at the end of the month. The St. Paul City Council has ordered the PSR Incorporated shelter to be vacated by October 1st because it failed to comply with zoning codes. The shelter's attorney, Warren Gale, says the decision to close now was a financial one. He says a long fight with the city would be a costly proposition.
And the neighborhood house in St. Paul has hired a consultant to investigate allegations that it failed to act quickly to report suspected child abuse by one of its volunteers. Among the charges, the center failed to deal properly with a member of its staff it knew may have been a sex abuser. Executive Director Marilyn Vihul said early evidence about the case was vague and unreliable, and that the agency did go to authorities as soon as it had more solid information. The volunteer in question was later arrested and pleaded guilty to sexual misconduct with a young boy. It's a child's nightmare. The Los Angeles Board of Education has approved a plan to hold classes year-round. The idea is to have different students attend classes for 2 months, then take 20 days off as others file in. It's all to alleviate overcrowding. Critics say the plan would disrupt family life by putting children from the same family on different school schedules.
You know, I think you're right about the new Fords. Why make a whole bunch of fancy changes when you've got a hot-selling line of cars? I like the new 3.8 engine in the Taurus, though.
I thought you'd go for that new little Fiesta.
It's Festiva. Oh. And I'll tell you, with that sort of room and performance for under $5,900, it's worth a second look.
You bet.
I've got you pegged for one of these restyled Crown Victorias.
No, they got something for everyone right here in town at our own hometown Northland Ford dealer.
You're right.
My new shirt. Mom's gonna kill me. No problem. That's what washing machines are for, right? Right.
Another unreported stain. You know, the kind your family doesn't tell you about till it's through the dryer and set for life. That's why you should add Biz Bleach to every wash load to find many unreported stains and lift them up and away. Even though unreported stains have a way of slipping into your wash, they can't get by Biz.
Sir, there is too much food in this Encore frozen entree. Too much Encore? Yes, we couldn't possibly eat all of those heaping helpings of lasagna and veal parmesan. Can't possibly.
But Encore is a 2-pound family-size entree.
We haven't got a family. No family.
Well, why not share your Encore with some deserving family?
Whose?
Mine will be over at 5:30.
Excuse me, about these large Encore servings.
Be over tomorrow night, ma'am, 6:30.
When you want more, it's Encore. It's a supercalifragilistic
Disney World vacation. There's always something going on.
It's quite a celebration. We sing the shout and send it to the blue. That there's nothing left to do.
There's Epcot too.
Under the line. It's a supercalifragilistic. Come on to the world's greatest resort. Disney World vacation.
Dozens of gay demonstrators were arrested outside the Supreme Court building in Washington today. Protests on the court's grounds are illegal, but organizers hope the acts of civil disobedience would draw national attention to the gay rights cause.
We know in our hearts that this is not the first time that the lesbian and gay community has done civil disobedience. Every day of our lives, in every part of this world, we commit the act of civil disobedience by loving each other.
Among the hundreds of demonstrators was a group of AIDS victims, and even though doctors say you cannot be infected with the virus through casual contact, police, out of fear of contracting the disease, wore rubber gloves in making the arrests.
The protest outside the Supreme Court didn't stop the work going on inside. The court has agreed to decide whether the famous Miranda ruling gives criminal suspects enough protection of their constitutional rights. The justices are being asked to decide if an Illinois man convicted of murder was sufficiently informed of his right to legal help. The court also ruled that states may set limits on how much doctors can be paid for treating Medicare patients. The justices rejected a challenge to a Massachusetts law which places a ceiling on physician fees.
Federal officials reportedly are considering a new plan that's aimed at reducing the cost of the Medicare program. Under the proposal, Medicare would send patients to certain doctors called preferred providers. Those listed would be doctors who don't order tests and surgical procedures the government considers excessive or unnecessary. And patients who use these physicians would have more of their doctor bills paid by Medicare.
And coming up yet tonight in sports, the Minnesota Strikers decide whether to stay and play.
And we remind you we'll have more sights and sounds of Minnesota's dream team. Perry Williams will join us right after this.
Dick Martin, the trainer, getting showered.
And while Kelly will do his best to deflect the credit, so much of it belongs to him with the tone he set for this ball club.
He was tough when he had to be. He had that easygoing demeanor throughout this series. Rarely did we see him squirm, Bob, on the...
This homeowner lives right in your neighborhood. This one a little north of here. He cleans his walk with a John Deere snow thrower, and he depends on John Deere for heavier jobs. Both got great deals from their John Deere Power Pro dealers. Now you can too. Look for these gold tags. They mean no payments until 1988 and no interest charge till next year with a John Deere credit card that's yours from any Power Pro dealer. These John Deere snow throwers are just $25 a month. This 3.5-horse John Deere snowblower, again, $25 a month. And John Deere's most popular 8-horse snowblower is $48 a month. What's more, you'll receive a free electric starter with both these models. See your John Deere Power Pro dealer or call this number to find him. For John Deere quality, low monthly payments, and no payment till next year, Snow Wonder more homeowners depend on their John Deere Power Pro dealers because nothing runs like a Deere.
Well, for Twins and Twins fans, it's a great time to celebrate, but you got to remember you got to sit back and get back to work because there's another big series coming up.
I think a lot of people were sleeping things off today, taking a few aspirin. I know Kent Herbeck told me in the locker room yesterday he might go hunting or fishing today, which is typical Herbie, but anyway, back to business tomorrow and certainly on Saturday. And now that the Twins have wrapped up the American League pennant, it's time to sit back and wait. Will they face St. Louis or San Francisco in the World Series starting Saturday night at the Metrodome? It's an almost predictable response. It doesn't matter.
I don't really care who we play. I mean, our first two steps we've made so far, and we didn't care if we played Toronto or Detroit. We got Detroit. We don't care who we play, St. Louis or the Giants, so we're going to have some fun no matter who we're playing.
Of course, the Giants and Cardinals are playing Game 6 of their series tonight in St. Louis, and they have gone to the top of the 7th inning now, and the Giants still struggling against John Tudor, the left-hander going for St. Louis. Dave Dravecky pitching well for the Giants, but he gave up that one run. The Giants, of course, lead that series 3-2. If St. Louis comes back to win it, they will go to the deciding Game 7 tomorrow night once again in St. Louis. The winner moving on to play the Twins here at the Metrodome Saturday night in the World Series. Good news for the Minnesota Strikers and their fans. The team will be back for another season, opening November 7th at the Met Center against Cleveland. The team has been working out, but their status in doubt until today. But thanks to a grassroots effort by fans, money given by various corporations, and a new multi-year lease with the Met Center, the Strikers have been given new life by the Robbie family, which owns the franchise. The NFL strike continues, so do negotiations. Today, the owners accepted some of the players' proposals submitted last night, but not the one for binding arbitration. Now, the union has come back saying they will back off that demand in favor of mediation for other non-economic matters besides free agency. Obviously very complicated, but more players are expected to cross the picket line tomorrow. In fact, Lawrence Taylor, the linebacker of the New York Giants, rumored to be crossing that line tomorrow. As Twins fans continue celebrating, a few words about the game and our experience in Detroit, which some have commented on. It's easy to see why, first of all, such a simple game creates such excitement. Yes, more important issues face us, but at least we can escape those pressures and madness. Baseball, perfect outlet, since it's our national pastime and a democratic game in the sense players come from all over, cities, farms, suburbs, in all shapes and sizes. You have your Pucketts and you have your Herbecks, and tickets are basically affordable. It also touches a sentimental nerve in how it was passed on from my father and his father before, a continuity which bridges the generations. And certainly, It's highlighted with the drama of the World Series, where the Twins find themselves for the first time in more than 2 decades. But now, in covering an event of this magnitude, some lose perspective, fans, players, and in our case, Sunday in Detroit, overzealous American League representatives trying to enforce the technical broadcast rules. A WCCO TV photographer was the target of obscene verbal attack by one such official. Various staff members from KARE-TV suffered needless harassment at times as well. And my photographer and I were thrown out of Tiger Stadium for interviewing Governor Perpich between innings. We found out such taping was against broadcast policies, which will certainly be followed henceforth. But it was the hostile attitude by these parties which concerns us, ripping the media credentials off our necks and having an overgrown security guard persuade us out the door. Yes, rules should be followed, but applied with fairness, respect, and some dignity. Personal and professional abuse certainly not called for. Apologies have been delivered, and certainly the media climate improved the very next day, yesterday's game, and hopefully will continue during the World Series. So fans, players, and the media, and maybe even overzealous league officials can enjoy and share in this pinnacle event of our national pastime.
It's hard to understand somehow how that can happen, but tension and angry Detroit fans, I suppose.
Well, these are some league officials, and we made a mistake, but I think they overreacted a little bit. Hopefully it's all squared away, and we're looking forward to the World Series.
Thank you, Perry. We'll be back right after this with a special tribute to the series in Detroit.
Folks, it's official. The big mouth is now the fresh mouth, thanks to new super strength Polidin. Now with a minty mouthwash ingredient, so it freshens up dentures as it cleans them. Try new Polidin Green for a mouth freshening clean.
VO5 hairspray is great for my hair. It doesn't leave it dry. It truly improves my hair's looks, doesn't dull or damage. And the more I use it, the better my hair looks. Patented VO5, great for your hair.
What does the smell of bounce remind me of? Spring. Here at the lake when everything is new. And every morning I come out and I ride my bike around the lake. And that's how bounce smells. It's just natural. It just smells so fresh. Here. Smell it. Outdoor fresh bounce. Smells great, doesn't it?
The story of a baseball team's trip to the World Series, a story beginning back in April when the season just gets underway. From then on, it's 6 months of sweat. You can't recap an incredible season like the Twins have had in just a few minutes, but maybe the words and pictures from the playoff series against Detroit will somewhat say it all. Our team of photographers have condensed this incredible week with the help of NBC2, putting together this portrait of a group of real champions.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome tonight's starters for our Western Division champion, Minnesota Twins.
We do it for them because this is their place, this is our home, and we love it here.
Programs! Before, the fans were just like, if the Twins were winning, then they were with them. But I think the fans have changed a lot to, even if they lose, they're still good Twins fans.
And the home on the break.
Well, this crowd is ready. It will be Frank Viola, Doyle Alexander as the American League Championship Series gets underway.
Whitaker to start it. Breaking ball wrapped down to first. Herbeck alone, 1 out. This might drop. It does. It's 4-1.
I'm fired up. We're hot this year. We're going to bring that World Series here to Minneapolis.
And here's a shot that'll add more runs. It gets in the gap. 2 are home. Baylor being waved home. They got a chance on him. And he's out at the plate on a 2-run double by Brunansky that makes it 8-5.
I wasn't surprised that we came back. It's happened for us all year here. You know, we've seen it a lot of times, and we got to keep in perspective that the game is the same. You know, they added a few more seats here and there and a few more cameras, but, you know, you got to keep it in perspective. It's still the same.
We're going to win tonight.
A lot of folks coming out to see you.
There's a few relatives here. I imagine a few people that I grew up with will pop up and maybe watch the game, but they might be cheering for the Twins. I don't know.